All right, who's here? Who's here?
It's
This is Merlin.
Michael and Merlin.
Mike, hello.
How you doing today?
Hello.
Wait a minute, how do you know it was Merlin?
Because you're loud all the time.
Whoa! Damn!
Yeah, I knew it was you. So,
It's all good.
It's all good. Hey, it's all good. All right. So,
I know.
right. That's how we know it's you. It's you. It's you.
Hey, it's like they say on 97 won the ticket. If you can't say it loud and proud, at least say it loud.
Right.
That's right. Exactly. What the heck? I'm going to find my way home now. What's the topic for today? We just
Apparently basketball, but we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're talking about hoop shot. So we're gonna see if that's the topic we want to stay on today.
Okay. Ooh.
Hey, Elda.
Hi, Elda.
Hello, what's going on?
Hey. I definitely want to hear some opinions on Bullock now that we picked up his option.
My quick opinion on it, I like the pickup. It's better than some of the other players we have on our roster, I believe. I don't have a high tolerance for guys that have small injuries taking the whole preseason off. So I do not like that some of the guys sat out the whole preseason. I feel like they should probably be cut. So I think Bullock is.
Sound a little low, Mike.
Am I a little low?
Yeah, that's loud because I had to turn him up.
Oh yeah, my fault. I said, yeah, no, I feel like
you're good.
I feel like guys.
I'll send you the bill for my speakers.
Not a problem, anytime, man. No, but I feel like his option is a good one. I feel like we picked it. I feel like we picked up a good player, and I don't have a lot of tolerance for some of the guys who sat out the preseason with minor injuries. I mean, sat out the whole preseason. So some of those guys I feel like probably should be cut and make room for some younger guys, some younger talent. And I think Reggie's up there. I definitely like it.
Cardi Martin?
I would be talking about him, and I'd be talking about the guy that's has his feet up in Arizona. I think both those guys probably should be gone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And you just go ahead and the financial hit is not even that serious for real, and it's only for a year. So if they don't pick it up, we still get it back on the back end. I mean, if they get picked up off of waivers, we get it back. And it's just a year, and we're going to cut them anyway. So they're going to walk anyway. So just let them go walk with their little 3 or 2 point, whatever it is. And, you clear up the space, So I agree.
I want to add to that.
Yeah, I agree too.
I want to add to that. Like, even if he does leave next year, or he has a potential possibility of leaving next year, I mean, he's going to get so much limited playing time that there's not going to be really great scouting reports on him. Like, we will have the best scouting report on him. So if we want to bring him on for another 3 to 4 years, that'd probably be a very cheap deal that we could get for that. And I think he probably would be a quality player for those 3 to 4 years that he's here.
You speak about Reggie, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking about Reggie. Reggie Bullock, by the way.
Right. So the other Reggie is nothing cheap about his contract.
There's nothing cheap about his contract. But I was gonna say that Michael had made a post on the post that I put up, and he did catch me off guard. I really thought he was talking about Reggie Jackson.
Damn.
That was funny.
Well, you know what? Here's what I like. I like players that are going to work their asses off. Last year, Cartier Martin had a down year, and honestly, he shouldn't have had that big of a down year because all they wanted him for was shooting and some defense. So he should have been in the gym practicing and whatnot. He came into the preseason this year not hitting squat, so he needs to go. And it sucks that Adonis didn't make it, but you know what? I mean, he got hurt. That already makes it too much of a risk. Someone will give him a chance. But Bullock came out. He did some stuff. He worked hard. He played defense. I mean, and he never was given a fair shake before to begin with. So, honestly, I like it that Van Gundy's giving him a fair shake. I mean, if Van Gundy, here's one thing I want to see Van Gundy do. And I'm not saying he's going to be able to do it, but if he can build a system because he's GM to match what he wants to do on the floor, and that's what Pop does down in San Antonio. And to be honest with you, I think that's why Pop is able to get the most out of players that other teams can't seem to get out of. It's because he handpicks people he knows will work with him. And I think Van Gundy has the power to do the same thing, although we won't know till we see it in action. But I know it's a glimmer of something. It's a pipe dream, but I think it's a dream that could become a reality. Who knows? He pulls in people he likes, and if they're not going to work with him, I mean, just like with Josh Smith, he gave him a shot. He'll give you a shot. But if you're not working, you're gone because you don't fit. And, that's my piece.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that, especially on the Popovich aspect of it, because like early reports of LaMarcus Aldridge references exactly what you were saying, is that I guess I was reading something where LaMarcus Aldridge was saying that it's kind of a tough transition for him because everything that he did there in Portland for 7 or 8 years was all tailored around him. Just everything, it was all like the whole organization was made for him. But as he moved over to San Antonio, that was not the case. Everything is tailored around the team. So he's got to try to figure out how to fit in the team. And that goes with just everything: locker room, players, coaches, everything, training facilities. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I mean, I agree with the extent that, I have swayed off my opinion off of Popovich, I call him a very, very good coach or, GM or however you want to look at it. But, that's also, you can bring in a specialty player when you have a superstar on your team. When you have 2 superstars on your team and another potential Hall of Famer in Ginobili, you can fill your team up with guys that fit when you have guys who like a Tony Parker, who can take over a game, or Tim Duncan can take over a game. And let Drummond or Reggie, who are only or if Stanley progresses, are only 2 real people who can take over games. It really it's critical when you start to fill out talent all around your roster, like who you're bringing in. So I think when you did have all the Cartier Martins and all those type of guys, and and they wasn't doing anything, you can't just have a whole bunch of those. I mean, I don't even want to call them role players because they barely had a role. But you have a whole bunch of specialty players that aren't special, and it's the key. It's like, and I'm not trying to jump on TNT because I'm gonna jump on Meeks now too. So TNT and Meeks. Somebody in the group, I can't say his last name is Josh, and then it's something like L. Lindroth or something like that. He kept on saying that KCP's out to lose. KCP's out to lose. I just never felt that way. I just felt like he was up in the air. Now I feel even more so. I'm gonna feel bad for whoever starts their shooting guard. I mean, because it's bad. I'm very disappointed overall. It's just bad.
I wouldn't mind seeing Reggie Bullock log some major minutes at shooting guard. Honestly,
I wouldn't mind. You know why I wouldn't mind seeing it? Because I haven't seen enough of him, and so that's why. I mean, he's done it, but even being critical of him, he did it in these spurts, like late in the game. You up 5, whatever. You got, everybody's kind of like empty their bench and you're scoring well. I mean, he played well, in the mix, but it's like kind of like that empty your bench scoring. and everything like that, but to start a game, to play major minutes, and that heavy competitive action, that's what I haven't seen enough of him in, to see how he works with starters, see how he works with. It's disappointing for me to see KCP after everybody talked about his development and all the stuff he did over the summer. And even when you, Mike, falsely reported how great they both look, I'm just messing with Mike.
Don't kill the messenger. Don't kill the messenger.
False reports about the good-looking shooting guard. I mean, I really didn't have high hopes for him. I'm critical of KCP, but I really didn't have high hopes for him, and I had high hopes for Meeks. But to see where they're at right now, I was just expecting more. I mean, I really was. I was expecting more. So, I've always said shooting guard, to me, is a very, very, very important position on a team. Like, you either have to be very special, like a superstar, a good player, or a specialty player. And I feel like we don't have none of that. I don't feel like we have that at that position unless, I know Mike, who you believe should play. But other than that, it's kind of discouraging right now.
I got a couple people that I feel like should play shooting guard right now, but like with our roster the way it is, with the depth issues and players that are hurt, I wouldn't mind bringing in Reggie to see if he can play shooting guard, Bullock that is, just so we're not thin at positions. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd like to see Reggie get a shot.
It has to be that way. I mean, I would be upset if Stan. I said it to Trey Waters. He's an advocate D fan, and I told him. I said that I believe that Stan, because nobody's winning, he may just go into the season and say whoever has the hottest hand or whoever looks the best, I'm just going to start because it's a wild card position. It's like nobody has played that position.
You know what? When it comes to the hot hand too, the best man, one of the best coaches in history with regards to going to the hot hand was right here in Detroit. And I don't know, I think you guys are all old enough to remember Daddy Rich. And that man would ride the shit out of whoever had the hot hand. It didn't matter if they were the 12th man. If somebody came in and they were lighting up, he was feeding it to them. He wasn't like, you know what, that's not my system or nothing. It didn't matter who was on here. If you weren't, you were benched. And if you were, I don't know shit. You fucked in my gym and you were homeless yesterday. If you're putting the ball in the hoop, you're playing. Granted, that scenario didn't play out. But you know what I'm talking about. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Chuck Daly used to do that. Like,
I think Larry Brown was kind of like that too. He wrote out some of the hotter hands. I wouldn't say
only among the starters.
Yeah. He didn't trust his bench too much. Actually, he didn't even really trust Tayshaun that much either. He just trusted pretty much Rib, Chauncey, and Rasheed. But yeah. No, I definitely hear that. Definitely.
Chuck Daly went with whoever was on. If someone on the bench was lighting it up, he went to the bench, and he kept him in the whole time. None of this. The problem is we've got too much entitlement now. It's like, well, all these coaches are afraid. They're like, well, I should go back to that guy because he's my starter. No, if he's making buckets. And the bencher is, then guess what? He's not bencher at this moment. He's in there making buckets. Because guess what? In the game of basketball, you don't win unless the basket receives the ball.
Right. But they did that. I think they did that a couple times last year when during the streak, a few moments of the streak, when Brandon and Drummond were on the bench and Van Gundy's like, do you want to go in? And they're like, no. They're hot right now. Why would I go in?
But they made the call. That was the thing. They made the call. Van Gundy, don't get me wrong. I think once he gets to that point, he will. His team wasn't in place at the time. I mean, he still was shuffling things around and whatnot. So, it is what it is. But he shouldn't have asked. I'm sorry. I understand Jennings and Drummond were your star players at the time, you don't ask them if they want to go in. You ride on hand, you make the call. I thought it was very mature, though, and showed a lot that Drummond and Jennings did step up and say that.
Yeah, I think it was more of a. Also, they were comfortable in those games too, and it was like, go ahead, finish it. But also, if you're looking at these two as your leaders, the right thing to do to keep the team and everything organized to say, hey guys, you ready to get back in? And then you look at them proudly when they say, no, let them finish the game. You know, they're killing it. Let them finish. Let them get the crowd reaction. Let them get the, so I don't think, like, if it was a close game, like, we come down in the fourth quarter with a minute left, Van Gundy's not going to look to that bench and be like, all right, do you guys want to get in? Do you guys want to finish? He's going to be like, he's not going to look at them, like, you're not getting in, or come on, get in. Like, you don't have no choice. Get in this game. So I think it was more, just kind of like the atmosphere. And we was winning, too. You know what I mean? What was going on at that time. We had great energy,
Did
Man, it was fun to be a Pistons fan during that streak. I always loved being a Pistons fan, but it was fun. I could call up people and be like, fuck you for telling me they suck.
Right.
Like,
right.
oh.
Right.
Like, you see that game last night? Oh, I don't watch that shit. You missed out.
wait till
I was telling people just being like, did you see that? Are you watching this? Do you believe this is happening? I was calling everybody. I called everybody. Just like, this is wonderful. This is fantastic.
You didn't call me, Dickie.
Number, Merlin.
Well, you didn't. You know what? I fall into the category of everybody. Did she call you, Michael?
I didn't get a call.
Elda?
I didn't get a call. I'm sorry. I didn't get a call.
There's 3 people out of everybody that you did not call.
Yeah.
Side note. Who here is going to the opener?
Me.
Who here is going to the opener?
I am.
I'm still on the fence about it because I'm not sure if I'll be free on that night or not. So I'm still on the fence.
Oh, what night is that?
Michael, the palace is through the fence. If you follow the fence, they take your ticket, they let you in.
I'm still on it, man. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess I got to get around to it. Who's here?
Dude, do you use Groupon? They got a really good Groupon on the home opener, and it includes a half-court it includes a shot on the court after the game.
Who just entered the... Michael, what's going on, man?
Michael is the new Bullock fan club president.
President of the Reggie Bullock fan club, Michael Campbell.
The fan club president. Hell yeah.
we were just talking about Mr. Reggie Bullock himself, man. So you jumped in just in time.
Oh man. Yeah, Reggie's my dude, man. But I'm not gonna stop you guys from what you're doing. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Hey, Nicky, what section are you gonna be in?
I know it's on the east side, but I don't know what section off the top of my head. But I know it's on the east side.
Did you guys?
Are you up top, down low?
I'm down low, dude. Oh, no. I'm up top. I'm up top. I'm 4. I'm up top.
I got a question. Did Reggie?
I'm up top too. So.
Did Reggie take the final roster spot?
Yes, he did.
He did take the final roster spot. So anybody that...
Wait, I thought there were 2 spots left.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There was still one more spot available.
Well, yeah, there is 1 spot left, Cartier's spot.
Wait, I thought Bullock took Cartier's spot, and now we're determining the last one between, like, Adonis and one of that, like, handful of people that Van Gundy signed to summer league contracts. Or,
no, it was between Granger.
No.
Oh, yeah, Granger.
Yeah, Granger. No, Granger's actually got an official spot on the roster because he's not a guaranteed contract. We actually traded for an actual contract, his contract. So he's an actual player.
Mike.
Yeah.
We all know that Granger's gone.
But what I'm saying is I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to figure out if we still have roster spots. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
We do. It's between Granger, Adonis, Thomas, or whatever the heck his name is, and some other, and Cartier Martin. which I think that's what it is.
But I don't think
Cartier, I'm sorry, but he's gone.
So I don't think Adonis has an official spot. Like, I don't think he has official roster.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it. Nobody does. Like, there's an open spot. There are guaranteed contracts, but they haven't been guaranteed to the roster. They can be cut. They're not official. Like, he can be waived, and it's going to cost the Pistons money, but he can be waived.
Yeah.
That's all. He can be waived.
Yeah,
Go ahead and wait him. I'll pay him. I'll take him the money.
You got that kind of money. Fucking give me
He'll take up a collection.
I want Cartier's job.
I think it's a sit at the end of a bench and
right, and then
pretend to have a hand injury.
Great for it. I'll even dye my hair blonde.
I don't think Cartier Martin was happy with being
Bullock.
I don't think Cartier Martin was happy with being a Piston, and I think that Stan had like a low tolerance for him. I remember last year he said something about him having to toughen up. It was like early last year. He said something about he was talking about an ankle or hand. He made a comment about him or something along that line. I'll probably have to look it up. And I
said he wasn't happy being a Piston. He wasn't traded for it. He signed a contract.
Exactly.
He said, I want to be here. Give me money. Because no one else will give me money. I need money.
No.
Because I'm out of money.
No, I'm not saying that. I think that something had to take place between those two. It may not be publicized, but for a guy to kind of, if this is a guy you sign, I sign you, and then no more than a few weeks later you're getting transferred down, I'm kind of taking these open shots at guys like, guys who don't want to play hurt, guys need to toughen up. For me to kind of say something like that openly as a coach and GM, there has to be something that had to take place. It may not be open or public knowledge. This may have been something to take place for that to happen.
I will say,
and then you put it to the season, then you get into the season, and we really need a Cartier Martin because that's what he is. He's a special team. He's not playing. He's not getting no minutes. And we really.
But when he was getting minutes, he was missing everything. He was averaging 18 point something percent from downtown, and he was.
Yeah, what was his
minutes?
Yeah, but
he was given minutes. Whenever he gave minutes, the whole thing was, and I get this, but I get that shooters need some
right.
Some room and whatnot. But you bring him in for 10 minutes, he misses 2 threes. Then you bring him in another game for 10 minutes, he misses 2 threes. And when you keep bringing them in, they keep missing. Eventually, you got to make a shot to leave you out there.
Exactly.
I mean, when you make a shot, if you notice, he never put him out there and then pulled him after he made a shot. He only pulled him after he missed. When he sat there and missed and didn't play within the context of the offense, when he was then like forcing shots and whatever. And unfortunately, that's what happens with shooters. They're streaky, and when you start forcing shots and they don't go the way you want, I mean, and I hate to say this because I liked the guy as a person, but it's kind of what happened to Ben Gordon, how he shot himself practically out of the league. Well, he got desperate, but he actually had the money. Cartier doesn't. When you get desperate, you're a shooter, you start missing, you start taking a lot more shots, desperate for one to go in. The problem with that is that scares off your boss, the coach. He's like, you're going to cost me games if you keep doing that, especially when other players have stepped up and started making a few shots. Meeks was slowly coming back to form, and toward that end there, he was making his shots. Reggie didn't make the greatest shots, but as a Piston, he was shooting well from downtown. KCP was starting to shoot from downtown at the end, exactly. During that last stretch, KCP was making them. Reggie was making them. I mean, pretty much everybody was starting to make threes except for Drummond and Monroe. I mean, everybody else was doing that. And then remember, too, we got Tayshaun, and Tayshaun was making threes.
Yeah, actually, Tayshaun was actually shooting really well, surprisingly, from the corner, that corner shot that he shoots. He was actually shooting really well. But
he always shot well from that corner.
He shot really well from the corner. I'll give him that. He had a nice 3-point shot. I'm still disappointed that we traded like 3 players for him. I'm still a little pissed about that, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like guys like Reggie, not Reggie Bullock. Who am I talking about? Cartier Martin. I feel like guys like Cartier Martin. You're in the game or you're on the team, and you're only expected to bring in about 10 minutes a game, and in those 10 minutes, you're going to have a limited amount of opportunities. And in those limited amount of opportunities, you got to make the most of them. And I don't think he's made the most of them at all. I think he's lollygagged around, in my opinion. Anytime I've seen him get on the court.
I'm looking at he only played in 23 games last year. And first off, I'm not defending Cartier Martin. I wasn't crazy about the signing from the start. But he only played in 23 games last year. And the most minutes he played all last year was one game he played 23. And his games were like sporadic. Like he'll play one game, sit like 3 games, 4 games, come in for 5 minutes, sit 3 games, 4 games, come in for 2 minutes. No player could be happy if you're a shooter with that. And so now he may have signed with Detroit thinking, I can beat out Kyle Singler. I can be a starter. But then Kyle Singler is very good at what he did. I tell people all the time, like, I wouldn't be mad if Kyle Singler was still on the team. He was very good at what he did. He stuck to his role.
I like
he was versatile, could go between shooting guard and small forward, played, back and forth. He was tough-nosed. He was unselfish. And he made threes. And that's what he had to do. He shot like threes at like 38, 40%. That's all he had to do. So I don't think he was able to.
He frustrated the hell out of LeBron James. I'm just saying.
I like him.
And LeBron James gave him any credit.
He's a LeBron James stopper.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, like, LeBron James never gave him any credit, but, like, you ignored him, and he always showed you, like, you better look at me. I love that. I love that about Kyle Singler. But just throw it in there.
I think the biggest thing about Kyle Singler...
Kyle Singler was the shit.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Kyle Singler that made LeBron angry is that he's actually kind of quick for a big guy, because Kyle Singler's not small. He's kind of a big forward. And I know he goes over to the shooting guard a lot, but like when he's matched up with like faster shooting guards, I mean, you can tell he slows down, and he was playing shooting guard a lot. But like, but for like a big forward, he's actually pretty quick on his feet, man. And
he's quick, and he moves his feet.
And he's a big body, so it makes sense that he was giving LeBron James fits, because LeBron James is a big body and he's fast, and he's used to bullying guys around. He's not used to going against big bodies like Singler.
In no way would I think Kyle Singler was this elite defender.
Oh yeah, no.
I would say
but he put in the work.
Yeah, he did.
He put in work.
Now, this is not my shot at KCP. We say in Detroit that KCP is an elite defender, but he's not.
He's not.
And he gets, he has a few high games that we all remember. Like, remember him having that really great defensive game against Harden.
Fucking God!
But then the next game, him and Harden. Huh?
That was not about you. That was me turning down a side street and seeing a ton of Christmas decorations.
Oh.
I've never seen anybody get that excited about Christmas decorations.
I'm not excited. I'm pissed. It's not even Halloween yet, and there's a bunch of Christmas lights on people's houses. What the fuck, man? Someone give me a Molotov cocktail.
That means they had the lights up from last year, and they just plugged.
Oh, you know that? You know it.
But no, I think that and I think so for me, I think that Singler, he was very good at what he did. Now, he wasn't great, but I felt like he was unfair to him a little bit too. Like, we put him as shooting guard, and he was having to guard like a Dwayne Wade.
Exactly.
And he was going to look real bad. But when he put him at small forward and he was matched up pretty well, he did pretty good in his matchup.
Yeah.
And I just think that we need a guy like, and I'm ready to get behind Mike a little bit. I think we do need to start to explore the idea of Stanley Johnson being moved as shooting guard.
And like I said, I don't think Like, I don't think
Morris,
that's
he plays better at small forward. Morris plays better at small forward than he does power forward.
and that's not me saying that he should be there for the remainder of his career. I think he should just be there until like just to maximize his athletic ability right now, because right now he's still young. He runs around like a like an elk. I mean, he's in the prime of his he's in the prime of his athleticism right here at 19 years old.
Right.
There's no other point in his life where he'll jump higher, run faster, and be quicker. Like right now, he's in the prime of his athleticism, and I think we should I think we should maximize it to its full potential and use him as shooting guard. Since we're so thin there. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get where you're coming from, and here I am jumping in again. But, like, when you play rookies out of their natural position, I mean, they're already trying to learn the NBA game. They're already trying to get acclimated to a new environment and a new lifestyle. And then you're trying to throw them in and get them acclimated to a whole new position, which even if they've played it a little bit in school and whatnot, it's completely different.
He played point guard, though. He played point guard.
He played point
guard, though. He played point guard. Like, I mean, how much?
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
I mean, how much more out of your element can you be at a small forward to go play point guard a whole game?
And I'm gonna tag up against. I'm gonna tag over Michael up against that guard forward position, like that big guard forward position. They're almost like the same thing. Like for real, in today's NBA, it's the same position. The only difference is, and I don't know how much.
Remember one other thing.
Anyway,
Remember one of the things was that you're talking about screwing up team chemistry.
Yeah.
You're also talking about screwing up team chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I think?
I don't know how much chemistry we have.
Well,
I'm looking at the preseason games.
Well, you know what? Hey, Elder, you want me to tell you?
You really want to piss off KCP and piss
That's
off
what
me.
That was gonna say. Hey, what I was gonna say is.
Ooh, KCP.
No.
Ooh, KCP.
Hey, no, Elder, seriously,
Who's gonna play small forward?
Elder.
Who's gonna play small forward if we move Casey? If we move
I was going to say this, that, the biggest concern I have about moving KCP to the bench, the biggest concern I have moving KCP to the bench is it definitely might have an effect on the team. That'd be my biggest concern about moving him to the bench. He might be playing bad, he might be playing inefficiently, but you never know how the team's going to react with him going to the bench. You know what I mean? Like, they might not respond too well. So I do agree. I do agree with that they could ruin team chemistry if he does get moved to the bench.
I hear everything everybody's saying. I look at it like this, and I hear what you're saying about KCP, and I hear you saying about him not. If you were saying, Mike, about KCP and you, Merlin, what you're saying about him, Stanley being adjusted to the shooting guard small forward spot, and then I also hear about the Reggie Bullock. So if you're gonna look at, sometimes you got to just measure it all out. And even with me, sometimes you're just going to have to kind of lay it all out for a team and say, this is what we need to do going forward. Like, some of those guys are not even going to be here by the time mid-year anyway. I mean, for real, Meeks may not even be here. KCP might not even be here. I still say Morris may not even be here. Right? We don't even know who's going to be on this roster in 2 to 3 weeks.
You're right.
And then, but in the 2 to 3 weeks of a starting season, if we start off, and we start off at 2-8, 3-7, everybody in the whole city gonna be like, oh, here we go again. And then we're gonna start doing that little flashback. Oh, we should have started, see what happened with the Stanley Johnson. Oh, we shouldn't have started KCP. Oh, we should have started Bullock. I think you put out your best talent, let them play, you let them build chemistry, and then you just go forth that way. If KCP is the best guy, he's killing it in practice, but he's just not doing well in the games, I'm all for KCP. But he's right now, from what I've seen, what I'm privy to seeing, I'm seeing a guy who had one good game in the preseason and hasn't done nothing since the first game at all. He's not showing no dribbling. He's not showing any shooting. He's barely rebounding. And his defense is average. It's nothing stellar. The same thing for Meeks. Meeks had a few hot games, but then he's been pretty inconsistent. Only person you could call consistent, which is sad, is Reggie Bullock, and those have only been in 3 games. So out of the 6, because he's only played in 3 games, really. So it's like at some point you do have to make a decision to go with talent.
How is Reggie defensively?
Here's where I'm coming from.
How's Reggie defensively? Anybody got a good idea about Reggie defensively?
It'll be my.
No.
I can't hear you. I'm like, speak up.
Oh, you guys can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
He's a stud.
I was gonna say, like, Mike says he's a stud defensively. I want to know exactly if anybody else thinks so as well, because I haven't really noticed him on the defensive end of the court. So I would like to know if he really is a lockdown defender. I think that's a huge plus to whatever we have at shooting guard right now.
I will say this: he's because he has that big forward body. He's physical. He's a little bit more physical, and I think he has better measurements than as far as length. I think he has a little bit better measurement on that way. And what I don't know is his foot speed, and he does look lighter than he did previous years. I don't know if he looks weight or whatever. He does look a little bit lighter, but I don't know if he has the foot speed to keep up necessarily with a shooting guard, if a shooting guard is rubbing off of screens and wrist. I don't know that because, once again, we haven't seen enough of him. But as far as his physical, I think he's more physical, and I think he's more, definitely has the measurements to be a really like that 6'7", and I'll have to look it up what his wingspan is. He's much longer, than KCP. So,
who's really lengthy?
I get that.
Reggie Jackson.
I still don't agree.
Reggie Jackson, I feel like he could defend the 2 really well, man. I really disagree with anybody that says he can't play shooting guard. He's super lengthy. Reggie Jackson.
I gotta bounce out, guys.
All right, Mike or Merlin.
All right, you had a parting shot. You got a parting shot.
Merlin.
I can.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
You mean like one last thing to say?
Yeah. Do you have anything? Else you want to add?
All right. I'll leave with one parting thing. Sorry, I'm home. My girl just got here, so I'm gonna go in and get ready. Do some cooking. I'm hungry. Here it's like this, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand why people are talking about maybe starting Johnson at the 2 now and all this other stuff, but you have to realize that we don't have the depth to really do that as much as people are thinking. First of all, when you start, you put all your talent up on the top. When you have a couple of shooting guards, but who's really, say we start KCP, say we start Johnson over KCP, who are we going to start at the 3? Well, most likely people would say, we'll probably just start Morris. Well, the problem with you starting Morris is then who actually backs up Morris? Because the argument all this time has always been Morris or Johnson. And now it's turning into them playing together. Some people are suggesting that. Who's going to come in? You bring in, Reggie Bullock at the 3? Or you shift Ilyasova over to the 3? I mean, that's my thing right there is you look at that, and then all of a sudden you kill your bench. Because, you've got KCP, who's tall enough to play the 3, but he's not really a 3, except in small ball lineups. So you're affecting it with that. I mean, at that point, you're taking away your best bench player in terms of the small forward position, and you're making yourself go very small on the second unit.
No, I agree with that.
I understand that.
But you can also layer it out too. I mean, you can have you can have not KCP. You can have Stanley Johnson. Say it's at the beginning of the first. You can have Stanley Johnson play 5 minutes, have Morrison play 10, sub in KCP for 5, and then bench Morris, and then have Stanley Johnson come in and play another 5. Like you can layer it out, you know. I guess I don't know. I just I guess I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but how is anybody going to get consistency if you're planning a 5-minute? How can you get consistency if you're planning to automatically swap someone out after 5 minutes?
Oh yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? If you're just trying to layer it that way. So.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That's my 2 cents. But I'm going to bounce out, guys. Hey, it was a pleasure as always.
Hey, thank you, Merlin. Have a good night, man.
Bye, Merlin.
Hey, good seeing you all. And Dickie, I'll see you at the game.
Yeah. Woo!
All right, man.
Take care, man.
Peace.
Hey, I was gonna say, who else is going to the game? The home opener.
No.
I'll be there, but I'll be watching though.
You'll be watching. Where are you at, Elda? What state do you live in?
Oh, I live in Maryland.
Maryland.
Ah, okay. Are you originally from Michigan?
Kind of hard.
No. Maryland, born and raised.
Oh man, how'd you become a Piston fan?
I don't know.
It started with back in the
Hey
day.
guys, if you're getting cut off by my voice, then it probably means that my signal's kind of bad. My phone is kind of crappy, so that's pretty much what it is.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, okay, it's cool.
Okay.
No. Long story short, all of my friends, they was like Bulls. I'm talking about like growing up as a kid. They was like Bulls, Celtics, and Laker fans. Like there was like all of those Bulls, Celtics, Lakers. Yeah, that was all of them. And I remember watching a game with the Pistons. They were playing the Celtics, and I don't know how I was watching it, where I was watching the game at. And I just remember them beating the Celtics. And when we beat the Celtics, it just made me feel good that, you know, like, oh, a team beat the Celtics. Like, everybody thought, and that's when I first started learning about basketball. So I learned all of my basketball through Detroit Pistons basketball. Like, that was, if I don't know anything else, I don't know about every other team, I'm going to know about every player in Detroit. Because my cousin used to always be like, you like them, but you don't even know the team. So I remember trying to, like, find books. It was this book. It was like an almanac. And I was just yelling out people names. Hey, baby. Like, you know, I'm just yelling out names, you know, just saying names. And, you know, so then it just became, I just started coming on TV more and more. That was it. And that's how I became a Pistons fan.
That's pretty awesome, man. I think it's really cool that, like, I think it's really cool that people like you and other out-of-towners picked up on the Pistons basketball. Like, I don't know. Who left? Someone left.
Not me.
I think that was Mike.
Maybe it's Mike.
Yeah, that was Mike. He said his phone made.
Yeah, I think that might have been Michael. But yeah, I think it's really cool that you and other out-of-towners picked up on the team through other avenues, and not being a native Michigan person or a native Detroiter. I think that's pretty awesome. It's always crazy when I see those guys from Turkey or Israel, like, I mean, across the fucking pond, you know what I mean? Or just Pistons fans randomly. I'm like, what the hell?
We have a guy like that from.
Huh?
We have a guy like that in the room who does that, who's like really, I think they like, you know, I think the kid who does the logos, who always do the editing.
Yeah.
I want to say he's not from
Hello?
Yeah, he did on the
okay.
I don't think he's from it. Hey, what's up, man?
Who's here?
I wanted to talk a little bit about what you guys think. I already know what you think, Mike. Can Drummond be an 18-plus player? 18+ player?
Wow.
All right, I'm back, guys. I have to get on my business phone, which is something I didn't want to do, but hey.
Okay, welcome back, Mike.
We can put this all under the business.
Hi, Mike. Yeah. You can write it off.
Write it off. We moving the conversation to I believe that Drummond can be an 18-point per game player. I believe he will be, not can be. I
of course, Reggie Bullock can be an 18-point per game player. You the man, Drummond. You the man. Yep, he's gonna sweep that magic carpet. He's gonna sweep that magic carpet right from under KCP.
I'm telling you why. I'm sure why. KCP doesn't have any magic carpet under his foot to start with. That's problem with the kid. I think it's a mental block. I watched this. I didn't watch all. We'll transition back to drum. I watched a couple of preseason games. KCP don't even look confident. Something's going on. He doesn't even look confident. He don't have that. He had that first game.
Oh my God! In that first game and that open practice, man, he looked like a brand new player. He looked like he was coming right. Like I don't know what happened, man. He just reverted right back to Kate. Like everybody's calling him KC3.
It's a block. It's a block in his head. Like I think he's and I keep saying this about him, and I hate that we make this about him, but KCP, and I said it from the jump start the day we drafted him. I said it. He's a high volume shooter, high volume scorer. He needs about 20 attempts. If he could come into a game, I believe that Van Gundy for KCP, you're going to get, I want you to get up 20 shots this game. Every time you go out, we want you to get up 20. I think he'd be awesome. I really do. I think he'd be maybe like he shoots, still probably shoot around like 43, 42%, but he would be lights out. You would just see a different guy. But you take a guy who's been shooting his whole life, and then you say, okay, now we just want you to spot up in corners and we'll do this. And like in college, he wasn't even spotting up. He had the ball in his hand and he was just pulling up from anywhere he wanted. So you take that out and you put him in a system where now you just get in looks in corners. It's not the same. So I just don't think he's been able to flip. And now you're adding more talent to the team. So that means he's getting less looks. He gets less chances.
I think as his career progresses, I think he'll end up being that kind of player that just spots up into the corner and plays D. Like I think he will be that kind of
Reggie
player.
Bullock, Mike.
I think he might be, man.
Is, Mike,
I think
he's worried about Reggie Bullock.
I won't lie to you.
Practice.
I won't lie to you.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, Mike. I don't, dude. Like seriously, I think I'm on board with you because I think Reggie Bullock caught me by surprise that we picked him up so early. I was waiting for guys to be picked up in the last couple games of the preseason, or like maybe like a week, maybe a week or a couple days before a home opener or opener, not a home opener, but our opener. But he got signed on right away. So Stan Van Gundy's probably thinking like, I need to shore up this shooting guard position really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might
Dickie, Mike, and Elder, and whoever else is on. I was literally shocked when I heard that Bullock was a part of the trade deal, because I had literally followed him, in his Tar Heel days as a freshman, going into the league, and I'm like, wow, like I used to get headaches and get pretty much brain cramps every time I saw him, play against State or Michigan, and I'm like, oh man, are you kidding me? Because the dude was a lockdown defender in college, Now he carried that over to a little bit to the league, but it went unnoticed because he didn't get much PT. Now, given the fact that he's got an opportunity here in Detroit, I think KCP sees his worth, and it's starting to mess with him. But it should mess with him in a good way, though. It really should. It should really drive him to be better and become more consistent and not Bashan Leonard streaky like, because we don't need that for a two guard, not our starting guy.
No, of course.
No. I think that also that's what I'm trying to say. We can't do. I hear what Merlin was saying, and I just want to keep over talking him. We can't do this rites of passage to start because we worry about team chemistry when the team is not centered around any of those players anyway. It'd be different if, Drummond didn't get along with Reggie Jackson or Reggie Jackson get along with Drummond.
I don't know about that. Like
I don't think
Elda. I know where you're going with it, and I completely agree with you. But what me and you agree with, and what me and you are saying, is not what the Pistons are saying. You see how much advertising money they put into KCP, man? He's like in literally all their advertising. Not Reggie, not Drummond, it's KCP. Like, dude, they really are trying to make him one of the faces of the team. So I'm not saying that he is. You're not saying he is, but I'm saying the team is saying something differently. That's all I'm saying.
They're saying he's real cheap.
There is a thing. Clean cut kid. You know, he probably does a lot of good community service too. He probably does a lot of good things, and he's young. And I'm not knocking him for that. You know, everything I would speak about KCP is deals with what he does on the court. I never talk about him as an individual. I don't never call him gay. You never heard me say he's gay, he's stupid, he's dumb, he's smart. You know, I don't say those things about him.
But Reggie Bullock does a lot of good things too. One being playing consistent basketball.
Oh yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Based off what I see on the court, that's what all I can talk about. So all I can say is this: if we're talking about what team is moving forward, we can't keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. Isn't it like insanity? How this race was insanity. Keep doing the same thing and want a different result. You gonna put him right back out there, and he hasn't shown anything. No. He does the same thing. He has these spurts games. Like he'll have this game like. And I hate to even talk about it because it makes me upset. Like, he had that game, that really good game, and everybody's tagging me. Oh, Elder. Oh, Elder. Oh, you all.
Hey, you notice I didn't peg you on it either, man, because I'm right in the same boat with you.
I think I even tagged you. I think I even tagged you.
So I'm like, I hadn't even said nothing about the kids in like I don't know how long because I made it in my mind. So I'm not gonna say nothing about KCP. And then the next thing it's like, oh, this thing has all these games. It's like it's just the preseason. It's just the preseason. It's like what doesn't matter. It's just the pre. But when you had that lights out game, I said that's not. It's not sustainable for nobody to shoot 6 or 7 every game. But you see them to cool down to like I would take 2 for 5. 2 for 5 is 40%. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? A 3 for 7, you know, but he's gone ice cold in a matter of a day from a hot game. He looks out of sync with offense. He's not showing any of that dribbling, getting to the basket, stuff that people talk about he was during the summer. But then you see a guy like Jody Meeks, who's not great, and I'm not getting on the Jody Meeks bandwagon, but Jody Meeks actually makes moves to get to the basket. Like, he finds different ways to score. And then you have like a Reggie Bullock who has looked good, and like I said, small, and I'm doing a small sample because he only been in like 3 games, but you know, you talking about scoring, it's like taking the ball and getting to the basket, you know, hitting and running it, you know, pulling up jumpers, and he's doing it consistently. So at some point, I think KCP looks at this and says, you know, what's going on with me? You like, I think we know when we get every time you start question, can I play this game? How good can I be? Like, how good am I? You question yourself. I don't care what it is.
I think
everybody questions himself when you start facing adversity, and I think he may have psyched himself out early, you know?
Well, I
hope he gets it together if he's going to be starting. I want him to do well. We need a consistent shooting guard, period.
I think one of the big clues. I think one of the big clues about it is his free throw shooting. You look at his free throw shooting from last year. He shot 69% from the free throw shooting. Something's wrong there.
And now he's shooting 70.
As a shooting guard.
And he's only getting to the free throw line like once or twice a game.
Right.
It's ridiculously low
for
a shooting guard to only get to the basket 1.5 times a game. But even in the preseason, it's ridiculous.
But my thing is like, okay, so you look at KCP and you look at Stanley Johnson. What are the big as far as body wise? What are the big differences in it? Like, obviously, Stanley Johnson's bigger. He's a little bigger. But like, as far as athleticism go, they got roughly the same amount of athleticism. Both of them are fast. Both of them can jump out the roof. Both of them look like they just got good athleticism for their positions. Now, like you see Stanley Johnson or you see KCP, right? And you see him trying to drive the lane and get trapped, and then he bounces the ball back out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but like when you see Stanley Johnson take it to the rack, he takes it hard, and he's got conviction into him that he's going to get to the rack, even if he makes forces a layup, he's still going to get to the rack and make it happen. There's something. You're right. I think there is a real mental block with KCP. I don't think he really has full faith in all of his athletic ability and all of his raw talent that he may have or may not have. You know, and one more thing on that. As far as the shooting goes, Again, comparing Stanley Johnson to KCP as far as the 3-point shooting goes. Dude, if you go back to a lot of those games that Stanley Johnson was like 2 for 3 from the line, from the three, and then you look at KCP's 20% shooting nights, they're pretty much shooting the same damn shot. KCP is just shooting it like with a guy in his face, with a hand in his face, with a couple defenders around him, with like 3 or 4 feet away from the three. He's shooting difficult threes and making them. And the thing about KCP is he's shooting wide open shots at times and missing them.
Yeah.
And it's like you can just tell that there's a shooter in Stanley Johnson. There's not really a shooter in KCP, in my opinion. There just really isn't.
If you remember what I spoke about so big about Stanley Johnson, and I said this is why it really turned a tide for me when I was like saying it used to be better than them. It's like Stanley Johnson, then Winslow, and everything like that. And I said what changed it really turned the tide for me was when I looked up Stanley Johnson, and some people just have it in their DNA. They just have certain stuff in them. It's when he shoots with a defender on him, and how high his percentage goes. He shoots better with a defender on him than he shoots by himself.
I do remember you saying that. Honestly, I remember you saying that loud and clear. This is like a week before the draft.
It's actually like an analytic stat that shows people being defended and shots getting off, and his shooting improved with being defended. He got like his setup shots are okay. They were considered good or solid, good, whatever you want to call it. But with a hand in his face, he was like excellent. He was like the best in the country with a defender on him. So that means he had something in him. And even with him driving to the basket, all I would say about it's a patience thing that he's gonna have to learn. But you learn that over time. Like some of the stuff he's doing, he is forcing, but he's forcing because he has to adjust to know that the NBA game he could be more physical and guys are just as big as you. So his body, after coming into body contact with guys in college, he was powering through stuff. Now he's learning that, I'm 245, but this guy over here, he's 235, but he's 235 all muscle, or he's 225 all muscle, and he got a 7-foot wingspan. So, you know what I mean? It's a different mindset, and I think as he goes on, he'll learn how to adjust versus a guy, and once again, not taking shots, but versus a guy like Casey. He's been in the league for 3 years, and he still hasn't found out how to keep a man off the dribble. Like, he had one move. He doesn't, it's the pump fake go. He doesn't have, he hasn't evolved as a basketball player.
Yeah.
And the scary thing about Stanley Johnson, Elder, is the fact that the guy is only 19, and he's not even done filling out yet, physically, wise. And when he does, let's say 23, 25 years old, that dude is going to be a force. You know what I mean? Now, to get back on what you're saying in terms of KCP, this is reaching for me because I literally hate this guy, but I'm almost ready to see Jody Moore start over him just to see how it all goes, because what I'm starting to see from Jody as opposed to KCP is that what you said about Jody being more assertive on offense and more aggressive. The guy's a lot smaller. What is he, about 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah, he's a smaller guard.
Yeah, and he will take it to the rack. He will, and he ain't afraid to do it. And that's the thing that I would really like to see from Kentavious, because the guy, he has a load of talent, in my opinion. Like, we saw those games, those clutch games that he had against the Hawks, and how he just, that's the KCP that should be, But all this inconsistency, man, is really starting to blow over, and it's getting old. I know it's only been 3 years for him, but at the same time, man, come on, dude. Seriously. As a coach, I wouldn't start him. Because he's just not assertive, and he's not consistent, dude. And that's why I can't wait to my man come back, Brandon Jennings. When Jennings comes back, you had to throw that in there. When Jennings comes back, man, I think that the Pirates are going to be on fire, man, and KCP is really going to see limited minutes in terms of that shooting guard position, because I'm starting to see some small ball coming along, and when it does, it may be some fire, and he might be possible trade bait. That's pretty much it.
I would say if we're gonna trade him, like in all honesty, like if he has another season like he did last year, where it's just inconsistent spurts and he's only putting up 12 points and 13 shots on 69% free throws. He does a similar season like last year. He ends this season like last year. This summer he's going to have some of the lowest trade value in his whole career, in my opinion. Like if we were going to trade him,
I know it's reaching, but I would try and trade him. This is reaching, and you guys might not agree, but I would love to have Zach LaVine. I really would, man. I would trade KCP and Hilliard heartbeat because I know T-Wolves ain't gonna let him go.
You might be giving up drugs.
That would be my
you might be giving him
Mike said we could get KCP for a mid first round pick. If we can get KCP for a mid first round pick, I would trade him today.
I think today you really could, because there's still a little bit of hype around KCP. I don't think people are really following
or
it.
for Hollis Jefferson, man, that would be good for Stanley Johnson.
But I think you could get something. I think
let's trade him for Sam Decker.
Yeah, that's your boy.
Let's trade him for Sam Decker.
How is he playing? Is he playing any good right now?
I already have been following. He's been solid. He's been okay. I wouldn't call him great, but he didn't have a preseason. He didn't have a summer camp because he had the ankle. So this is really his first action is in the preseason. Mm-hmm. So, but he's been all right. I mean, nothing special. He's been all right.
I think he's gonna be like a mixture of Chandler Parsons and Kyle Singler 5.0. The guy is good. I love Decker, man. He's a good player.
I'm very happy with. I'm very, very, very happy with Stanley Johnson. I think he's a better fit. Just looking at just the energy and the emotion he brings and that confidence. Like he has that superstar type charisma type thing that you look for in a player when you draft him.
He's got a lot of confidence.
Looking at him
he's got a lot of confidence.
Like we're looking at him like, I think we're still looking at Stanley Johnson like we can't believe that he fell that far in the draft. Like we're looking at him like that because I'm a Buckeye fan, so I'm looking at D'Angelo Russell. I'm looking at him struggling. I'm looking at even Mario Huizinga. Everybody's young. It's just preseason and summer league stuff, and everything like that. I'm seeing these guys who are these shooting guards and these small forwards, and they're really struggling. Although Stanley Johnson, he's now starting to struggle a little bit, like with shots and not falling. But when you watch him play, like some of the stuff he puts up on the backboard, like he gets his way to the basket and he misses a layup, but it's right there. You know what I mean? It's not like he's not beating this man. It's not like he's not beating this man, or he's the guy blocking the shot back into his chest, or he looks lost out there. He's literally
just Brandon Knight garbage.
I'd say as a reference point, Elda, and this is for people that are listening and for everybody on this conference call. Elda put a great breakdown for Stanley Johnson over Justice Winslow, and literally, a lot of things that Elda's saying about Stanley Johnson are really consistent to what he said prior to the draft. So, just like that was a big ups because, everybody had questions about Stanley and if he was really worth the pick that we were going to take him at. And but with that, as a disclaimer, there's a lot of Sam Decker talking there too. So just for everybody that wants to listen to Stanley Johnson.
Hey, that's why I call Elder David Aldridge, man, because the dude knows basketball. You called him before the kid was even drafted.
And that's in the first podcast.
That's in the first podcast. If Justice Winslow had not gone and had fought, and I'm not going to say I expect him to fall to 10, Winslow didn't fall to 10, I still believe that Sam Decker would have went to Miami, because that was the only team that I thought he was going to go to. I didn't think that I just knew Justice Winslow wasn't a top 5 dude. I thought he was going to end up in Denver. That's why I think I think he intentionally just messed that workout up. He didn't want to go to Denver, and I think he purposely just screwed that whole workout up because they said that was the worst workout they've seen. The only team that hyped them up was the Knicks. The Knicks hyped them up, and Knicks was like, "Oh my God, super workout!" And everybody else was just like, he's falling.
Oh my God, super bust.
Yeah. So then he goes to Denver, and I watched it. I don't know if you've seen it, but you watch the Denver highlights. He's like walking around. He's like missing dunks, and he's like smiling. And it's like, dude, then he does it. He does his interview, and he says, you just, have one of those games, this is who I am, and they're kind of like this. But it's so funny. Dwayne Wade, and I don't want to get on Justice Winslow tantrum, so he goes to Miami, and Dwayne Wade is like, people are comparing him to Dwayne Wade. Like, that's what Miami people are doing. Dwayne Wade, like, he's not. Dwayne Wade basically like he's not me. He said he reminds me more like he's Ron Artest like. He's called him Ron Artest like. He didn't say like, oh, he's the second coming. He's Ron Artest like. So he's a defending player. He's a defensive player who's going to struggle shooting. And that's all I would say. I'm not saying he won't get better in the future. We don't know how guys will get better, but the guy had a lot of issues. And if I can see him in my scouting reports and watching the highlights, I'm privy to. What about these scouts who can break down footage of everything and then see him and then you watch him now in Miami. I think I do kind of follow a little bit. Like he had a game, he had a 6 rebound, an 8 assist game, and then of course Miami fans like, oh, he's so versatile, but he's shooting like almost like 25 or 30% from the field, and he's only made 1 3 so far.
And that's
going to be a good role player.
And that's the thing. So, like when you get a draft pick that high, he's either got to be, a good offensive player right away, or he's got to be an elite defensive player right away. And I don't think Winslow is an elite defensive player right away at all. Like, so it's one of those things. It's like he could be a big bust. He could be like a Michael Beasley. It just could be like one of those guys that have a lot of talent, and he shows up a lot of numbers. He could show up a lot of numbers and a lot of columns, and it just doesn't really translate at all.
Yeah, and you know what? And like I said, it's not personal against him. And like I don't sit back and yes, Winslow had a bad game, but it does like. It was only a few people that was really like coming in, like James and like, oh no. I was like. Some things is not even personal. It's like stats are like staring me in my face. Like when you look at all these stats and these analytics and metrics, and they all point to certain things, then you watch them play and they do the same thing that the stats and analytics and metrics say. It's not even about like people say, oh, you just look at numbers. You look at everything. Like when people talk about KCP, I watched almost every game last year. Like literally, that wasn't the game I missed. I missed more games this year so far with the preseason than I did last year, because I watched almost every game. I think I may have missed maybe about 3 to 5 games last year. KCP did the same thing every game, and I want to be like I'm the first, but I remember posting an article saying how he's hot on the road, he's hot good at home, but he's so piss poor on the road that it kind of takes away any thunder he does at home. And then I remember the Pistons, the Bad Boy site, that Bad Boy Detroit site, then they did an article about it. Then I remember Detroit. The Detroit news site did an article about it, and I want to say I broke the news because that's right there. Like he just poor on the road, so it just makes you think like it's not just about a personal preference. I want him to be good.
He needs his house shoes. He needs his house shoes.
Yeah, he needs his house shoes.
That was hilarious.
I really hope for them. I really do. Man, if he's been off this year. And people like, oh, we told you. I'd rather a whole bunch of people come back and be like, oh, you was wrong about him. You was wrong about him. Because it would make us a better team. I mean, we don't have to go shop him. We don't have to bring in another dude to try to build chemistry. We don't have to do all the adjustments. We don't have to lose a young player. It would work better for us if he plays well. But I'm just not seeing it. And do you wait another whole year? Do we wait another 82-game season and then say, well, the 4th year is when such and such player developed, so KCP was develop in his 4th year too. It took this person 4 years. At some point you just gotta cut your loss. Let the team warn them losing their young brother, because if they brother and everything like that, they grow up with them and outside 2K or 8 with his family. Let them get through that so we can move on into the future. And,
I totally agree. I totally agree, man. That's exactly how I feel about Spencer Livingston. That dude.
Spencer Livingston?
Yeah, he's tough, man.
Well, he can't shoot, so I guess he could be Spencer Livingstone. But no, no, dude, I do agree though. I do agree with everything you said about KCP, because one of the biggest things that I have a problem with this team and the team that we had last year and even the previous year is that we just get too many project players. I think that's one of the biggest things that I have a problem with. We don't got enough guys that are ready to play. You know what I mean? Ready to put in some work. And like I think the biggest thing that should go off in the fans of Pistons heads is that we got a bunch of project players that are saying, hey, we got a lot of raw talent here. We could just develop them up, become great players. But then you draft a rookie that's 19 years old, and he already looks like he's ready to play. That should, like, put everything in perspective. Like, are we wasting time here with project players, with raw talent? Or should we go out and get guys that are ready to play, that look like Stanley Johnson, but are 25 years old? You know what I mean? Like I think that should really put things into perspective, like, where we should be going as a team. Like, are we going to spend all of our time looking like the Timberwolves with a bunch of raw talent, or are we going to go in and actually make a team? Are we going to go out and actually be a legitimate force? So I don't know. That's always kind of been my problem with this team for like the last 3 years. But I think we're headed in the right direction. But yeah, that's one thing that I really hope people realize is that when you get a rookie like Stanley Johnson, it should put a lot of things in perspective. And it should make people really think about if this team is headed in the right direction or not. Yeah, we got a great talent, and we got a great talent around a lot of the pieces on the court. It's just that, God, you got to figure out when to cut your losses and like what risks are, what risks that we should be going with and what is worth our time, you know. So, and I don't know if KCP is one of those guys.
I just don't want anyone to, like, bring him down. Like, Stanley Johnson's got a lot going on right now, and if the team is all those project players that you're talking about, like, he obviously comes to play. I'm sick of the intimidation. It seems like, oh, yeah, I can beat this guy. I can beat, like, off the rim, the shots going off the rim all the time. Like that one game. What was that one game? The Brooklyn Nets, the first one? The first preseason?
Yeah.
Second.
God.
Yeah.
He broke down. Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, I didn't even see that. I mean, I was breaking down in the stands because I was just like, why did I even bother coming? I mean, I was like completely like, this is not what I want to show this guy. He was so happy to be here for some reason. I mean, I haven't even heard like he was like a fan or anything, being a kid, but he obviously had the enthusiasm to come here. And what I saw was just, I'm like, I hope that doesn't kill us. Like, whatever fire he's got, be a Detroit Pistons. He's like, this is what the Detroit Pistons have to offer. Whew.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea that he had a breakdown in that
Me neither.
game. I think people are just finding out about that now because he still had a good game. The game after that, he still had a pretty good game after that. So I don't know. I wouldn't contribute his breakdown in the Brooklyn game to his slow pace right now in the preseason. I wouldn't link that together because he still had some good games after the Brooklyn game. But yeah,
you guys see already how people are calling him a bust. We see it in the group. I don't know if those guys are trolling or what, but
I'm trolling.
You know, the guy has, games, but he's a rookie, man. He's a rookie, but as soon as a player doesn't live up to your own fans' expectations, you want to start calling them out and screaming bust. You know what I mean?
I'm trolling. I'm going to put that out there right now. I'm definitely trolling because I really do think it's funny that people are calling him a bust because we've seen busts. We've seen guys that are busts, and you can just tell when a guy's going to be a bust. He just doesn't look confident. He got the deer in the headlights look. He looks underdeveloped. I mean, you can just tell when guys are not going to be. Yeah, Darko.
That would be Darko. That would be Cartier.
That would be Cartier and Darko. Okay.
That'd be Darko. That'd be a lot of guys that we drafted. Honestly, I don't know. I think Stanley Johnson's going to be fine. I really do because the one thing that I
when
really like.
When will we get Darko again though? Like, where'd that guy come from? Like, what the hell?
That was me. That was me that started the Darko version 2.0. Because the guy
I'm talking about Jordan Buczynski. Darko, man, dude, didn't change his name. Like, where the hell did he come from? I'm like, wow. Now he can hit his free throws, you know. But I just don't understand why he's back on the team.
He's on the practice squad. He's kind of like that's exactly what he is. He's kind of like on the practice squad right now. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract. I doubt he makes the team.
Human Victory Cigar 2.0.
Darko 2.0.
I want to jump back on something that Mike said, and then link it to with other Mike's. Mike said it. What Michael said. Mike has said about how you got to look at. We have a lot of projects, and we already have like a end result. Have a lot of guys, and then Michael, he's more like saying how Reggie Bullock. So I'm looking at Reggie Bullock could be that guy who's a project for everybody else, but now he's like finished. And
right.
He's like 24. He's been in the league for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like 24. He's been in the league a little bit. He's been with some good coaches. He's been with some really good players. So and maybe Reggie Bullock, that switch has gone on in his head. That sense of urgency. Like, if I don't get it going right now, I could be out this league. By next year. So it's a different level of pressure and or sense of urgency that a player deals with, like a KCP, and I'm just using for example, KCP could be more like, oh, they love me here. Look, my name is on the billboards. I ain't going nowhere. That way. And then you have a guy like Reggie Bullock who's hungry. Reggie Bullock is like, this is my last chance. I could be out the league. I could be playing in Euro next year. It's two different mindsets, but he was with Doc Rivers last year, correct? Where Doc Rivers was coach last year. And then I can't think who was coach was before that. Like, he's been around good players and he's been around different players. Like, he's been traded a few times. So he's been around different players, different coaches. He has more experience. He may be tougher mindset in KCP. So he may be actually ready to really, he probably put all his tools together. Like, he's had the training camps and the summer leagues and he's gone off in the D leagues and done that. He probably really has tooled his game to be really ready right now. He's never been down inside of the D league. I'm not. He wouldn't go down there and light it up. He would, but it's a different mindset. Like, there's a different dog in you when you come back. Like, I don't want to go back there no more. I don't want to go back there no more. So maybe maybe he's kind of brought it all together. So.
It's a saying that I like to tell my fellow actor buddies, man. It's preparation meets opportunity, and that's what I see in Reggie Bullock. As he spent, the years that he has been in the league, he took his time to, and he didn't whine about any, not getting playing time. He saw the guys he was playing behind, and yet he still kept his head on, right? All the screws are there, and he's in practice, and he's just literally busting his butt. I really fell for the guy, when he came to the league, when I started watching Real Training Camp, and I'm looking at his work ethic and how Doc is talking about him, how Blake Griffin is talking about him, DeAndre Jordan, when they asked about him, he's like, man, stuff like that. And then he sent over to Phoenix, and Doc was irate about it. The guy even got on the press conference and was saying how he was upset that Reggie was traded, and I'm like, wow. So, just to have that type of mention, from a Hall of Fame coach, man, that just really says a lot.
Right.
And you're pretty much at the end of the bench too, to have that kind of emotion come from a coach like that.
Right.
It'd be like similar to like Larry Brown if I don't know, if like Joe traded away one of his big bench players that we knew that was really valuable, to our championship run, and Joe traded him away. So I guess I agree. I definitely agree with that. My thing about KCP too is that exactly what Elder was saying. I think he might be getting a little too comfortable, and I want to tie that into what someone else was saying. And I think I want to tie it within what someone else was saying, that once you lose or once you get rid of one of the guys that you feel like was a huge problem, and like in the overall vibe from the fan base was like, yeah, that person was a huge problem. Then we move on to the next guy who's the next big problem. And KCP's name is going to be KCP's name is the one that's going to start circling around. He's going to be the next big problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of those things. It's like he can't get too comfortable just because he has his face on billboards and just because he's in every single Chrome jersey commercial. He's got to really step up his game. Like right now is the time. Like right now is not the time to get comfortable.
I agree. That should be Stanley Johnson in the Detroit Chrome, in my opinion.
I think so too, man. I think you know what I think? I think this team is missing some real leaders, and I think I really see that in Stanley right away. Granted, I didn't watch the last game, so I really didn't get a judgment. But from everything I've seen from him, he's got that real leadership vibe, something that I don't think a lot of these guys on the team have. And it's gonna come. I think one of these days that he's gonna take this team away from whoever's quote unquote leading it now. I think it will be his team soon enough. Like I think Stan Van is banking on a Reggie Drummond combination, but I think is from what we've seen from Stanley, I think he's gonna come up and he's gonna rip it away from those guys. It's gonna be his team really soon.
Yeah, I'll say another. I'll cut it off to you. I'd say in another 3 or 4 years, I think Stanley may just be superstar status.
Oh yeah.
Hey Elder, I wanted to ask Mike and Dickie a question. What do you think the chances are of the Marcus twins reuniting? And also, do you think that there is a chance in heaven that we can actually get Serge Ibaka over here next year?
You want to go first, Mike?
Yeah, I'll go first because I'm gonna be real quick about it. Serge Ibaka, I don't know if he fits. Like, does he have like an outside game? Is he mostly an inside guy?
Yeah, man. Dude stretches the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I think OKC is gonna have some money to throw around, and they need to keep Westbrook and Durant, but I think they're gonna have early signs that one of those guys is not gonna stay. So this is my only thing about getting a guy like Serge Ibaka, is that I think OKC is gonna have an early sign that either Durant or Westbrook is not going to be returning really soon here, and they might just invest into Serge, to keep him there. So that'd be my thing about the Serge Ibaka thing. Lastly, the other part is I think it's actually a real possibility that we get the other Morris twin. Honestly, I think it is going to be a real possibility. Do I necessarily agree with it? Not really, but I do think that there's a real possibility that we get him. So I think there is an outlet for him to come here. Absolutely.
Yeah, because my next question was going to be, how do you think that would affect the locker room? I mean, Marcus is here now. He's got a shot at starting. I see Marquise if he comes over, if we land him. I see him coming over, and Marcus Morris pretty much going back to that role of being a role player again. I mean, he's a role player now, but I'm saying like a bench guy. And I'm starting to like Marcus Morris. I'm starting to see his versatility, and his toughness, and by Marquise coming over here, and with his personal problems and things like that, I'm just not sure if it'll mesh well, man. I'm really not.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with it. Like, do I think it's a high possibility? Absolutely. With everything that's been coming out of Phoenix, absolutely. But I don't necessarily agree with it. I actually agree with a lot of what you said, Mike. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that there's going to be some baggage coming along with it that's not going to be helping the team out too much. But I'm up for anything. If we get a good deal on him, like say KCP in a second round draft pick, then fuck it. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. I really think that we should probably, keep arm's length away from it until like really, really, really gets bad and they're ready to have a fire sale and we get them for really cheap. But I don't know, man. I do think it's a real possibility, though. I do think that.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna say I'm kind of echo my. I think that anything can happen. If we have the money and we throw it at him, I think that Serge Ibaka will go where the money's at. I think he wants a nice big payday. I don't think he's overly committed to OKC. I don't think he's like so committed to them, over the years. And he knows that, it really depends on what Durant does. But even when they get done with Durant, they got to think about what is Westbrook going to do. So, you know what I mean? He's seen Harden leave to get a big payday. So he could think, well, maybe I go somewhere and get my big payday. He's still relatively young. I think he's like 26 now, 27. So he's still like relatively young. He may look for one big, payday. So if the Pistons say, and with the market ready to inflate and go up, the Pistons could say, well, we're going to give you this $100 million contract, and for the next 6 years, he'll jump if OKC says, well, all we can do is give you 90. And for the next, 6 years, he'll probably take an extra $10 million. Because he doesn't, I don't take him. I'm not saying he's not a loyal guy, because I don't know, but I don't think that he will just, okay, I'll just settle in. And then next year, Westbrook leaves and gets $150 million, because Westbrook is going to get a crazy contract too. So I just think he's going to kind of look out for himself. As far as the Morris coming here, I probably prefer that it doesn't happen. And I'm coming from a more psychological perspective about how they are together. And like Mike said, I'm not saying they are trouble, but you get one more filter in. So wouldn't you have to, and I spoke to Mike about this, I think we spoke about this last time, wouldn't happen if we have to trade the one we currently have already get Marcus? Wouldn't if we have opportunity to trade Marcus? We get Marquise, we have opportunity to trade Marcus. Is Marquise going to be like, now you got to trade me too?
Yeah,
you know what I
mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's my concern. Yeah. Like, they have this weird kind of sick kind of connection thing, but I feel like Marcus, but no, I feel like Marcus is trying to break away from it.
Right.
He's always been in his, from my research, he's always been in his brother's shadow, kind of, like even at, with Kansas, he's always kind of been like the one that's not as good as, so then he kind of gets traded, and he doesn't even, you don't hear him saying something like, oh man, I can't believe he got rid of my brother for me. But you hear his brother like, I can't believe you separated me from my brother. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Trade me, So I think that, it's kind of good to kind of keep them, just from a business perspective, that you lose one, if we say, okay, Marcus, we're going to move you to L.A., and we get something back in return. If Marquise going to get here and he'd be like, well, I got to go to L.A. too, send me to the Clippers, or send me on the West Coast, send me to Sacramento, I want to be around my brother. Is that what it's going to be? So
I agree with you.
I don't know.
Elda, I agree with you, because the one thing that I can relate that to, and that we experienced it firsthand as Pistons fans, is when Chauncey got traded. I mean, Rip Hamilton acted like the biggest crybaby ever, And it's like one of those things. It's like, if there's like an emotional attachment like that, like it will hurt team chemistry, man. It will. Don't be surprised if Phoenix doesn't really do that well if Markieff, acts like a big baby about his whole brother not being there, because it will hurt the team. If everybody's attitude's in the shitter, because like I said, we've seen that with Rip Hamilton.
Right.
When Chauncey got traded. Chauncey was like a brother to him. It was like they were a 2-for-1 deal, and you split one of them up, and the other one didn't want to play. He's complaining a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I definitely agree with that. What's up?
That was it. And you have one more question?
Yeah. No, I think you already addressed it. I was speaking in terms of the locker room issues, and like, if, for example, if the Morris twins were to reunite, and with baggage, Marquise, that is, with his baggage, and he's bringing that to Detroit, and we got all these young guys and they're upstarts. I just believe that will really, really affect.
Yeah, and I think that, and once again, if we trade for Marcus, I mean, he may not be the most talented, but we traded for him because he does bring something his brother does. He can shoot threes. His brother doesn't shoot threes. His brother's more of a post player. So we brought him here for that reason, to be kind of like that versatile small forward kind of ability that he does. He's been showing as a small forward, but I just don't think that if you look at chemistry wise, when you bring them in, all of a sudden those two are just going to get real connected, and then they can isolate themselves from everybody else. You know what I mean? You start to form that, like, you know what I mean? And the whole thing is trying to build this camaraderie. I mean, they already don't have an age difference. Because you look at most of the team is younger, like 22 and under. He's already 25. I'm not saying they're over the hill, but it's still there's going to be that age gap. And now, you know, it can create a little bit. I mean, everybody got to be professionals at the end of the day. But, you know, it can definitely, like, you bench a player, you know, you don't start a player, you're somebody that can get minutes. If all of a sudden Stanley Johnson becomes, the start small forward, and then Marcus goes to the bench, you know,
I got a question
all
for
those
you guys.
type of factors you got to think about.
I have a question for you guys. Did any of you guys like my Marcus Morris Corliss comparison? Did any of you like that? Did any of you feel like it was like completely out of bounds? My Marcus Morris to Corliss Williamson comparison? Did anybody feel like that was like completely out of bounds, or if you guys felt like that was a possibility?
I thought it was. You know,
okay.
Yeah, just my opinion. You know, judging from Marcus's post ability, the guy can't post. He shows it. But I see a little bit big nasty in him in terms of his nastiness. On the defensive end, like he'll smack the ball out your hand. He'll grab the arm if he has to, little things like that. But in terms of like an all-around game, I would have to say no. Yeah,
what do you think?
I don't.
Now, if you're talking about just being a spark plug scorer off the bench, Corliss, I understand that. But if you're saying as far as the style of play now, because to me, I remember when I felt like every time Corliss touched the ball, he was going to score. Like, there was times like we could be down 10, and we could give a Corliss like 3 straight touches, and he would score like 6 straight buckets. You know what I mean? Or 6 points. You know what I mean? Off a 10, like he would get his buckets, like his little jumper. Everything. I always felt like he was going to score. I don't get that feeling from Marcus Morris. Like he can pull up from a little mid range or bully a guy in the post. Like Corliss had that little spin move thing he used to do. Like right off the baseline, I just don't see none of that. He's shown that he can go into the post, but he hasn't shown that he can be a post player. But Corliss showed he could be a post player. Now, of course, but once again, Corliss was shooting threes, and Marcus can shoot threes. So,
all right, guys, I got to get ready to go, man. Production is going to be starting at 3 a.m., so I got early morning shoot.
Good luck with your production, man.
Thanks,
yeah,
Michael.
I appreciate it, man. I'll hopefully send you guys some premiere tickets and things.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, man,
hello. I just want to get on the phone and talk to you guys and just let you know, in terms of how I feel. Hey, it's me, Nate. I wanted to let you guys know that, Marcus Morris, Marquis, keep this motherfucker where he at. I don't have time for him coming over here with my young Detroit Pistons team, and we got these young bucks. And, these kids nowadays, boy, I tell you, Elder Raymond, just do some good stuff. My first Gonzalez, I appreciate what you do. I'm not really a big fan of Facebook, but at the same time, I might end up making me a little, Mike, what you call that?
Called a profile.
Say it. It's a profile, man. God, that's all you had to say. Gosh. So anyway, I just wanted to, just put my little 2 cents in and wish you guys a bit. So you all have a good night, all right?
Good night, man.
Good to hear from y'all.
Take care, dude.
Good
I
night.
had to throw Uncle Nate in there for a minute, man.
Dude, that's an awesome impersonation, dude.
All right, Elder, Mike, Dickie, you guys are great as usual, man. I hope y'all have a wonderful year, man. Have a good one, all right?
Absolutely, man. Hey, good luck, Michael.
All right, thanks.
Take care, man. He sounds like a completely different person when he does that voice. Like,
yeah, I'm like, who's that? I'm like, who's that?
It's weird. I'm like, what? There's old Phoenix, really? No.
it kind of reminds me of a ventriloquist. You know how they can like mix their voice up like on a dime. You know?
Then you go right back to that
go back to your
like,
regular voice, back to the fake voice. That's what it reminds me of.
You know, like when I hear it, I see that security guard on Martin. Do you remember that guy? That old guy? You remember that?
Yeah.
I see in my head. Like what's that guy? I love that guy. You know, I don't want that twin here. I'm sorry. I don't want him here. I'm just saying. I think it's bad. Bad news. But did somebody say he does the low post? Is that what somebody said?
Yeah, he's a post player. He looks like a power forward. Like his brother doesn't look like a power forward. Like, he looks like a small forward. It's kind of really weird. Like there's just slight differences about him, and you can just tell. Like one of them looks like a power forward, the other one looks like a small forward. We got the one that looks like the small forward.
Really good.
And you know, I like you know like Let me just say about the Corliss Williamson thing. Like to clear that up. Like I wasn't saying that he had to do everything like Corliss Williamson. The biggest thing that I really wanted him to be like Corliss Williamson is to body down small forwards. Like even though he looks like a small forward, he's definitely bigger than small forwards. You know, that's why he gets mixed up with the power forwards. Is that he's kind of like just in between, but he's definitely a small forward. There's no doubt about that. But I would like to see him use his body. I would like to see him use his length, and I would like to see him use his size to its full advantage. And being out on the perimeter, he's not using it to its full advantage. You know, the perimeter's game is used for guys with the height disadvantage. You know, the guys with the height advantage and size advantage are the guys that go into the post, going into the paint.
Somebody's ruffling up real bad. I can't hear.
That's me. I'm outside. It's my fault. Hold on. Yeah, it's the wind. My bad. I didn't think it was a big
No,
deal.
you good.
But yeah, hold on. Let me get in my car.
Yeah, I'll roll up my window.
But yeah, no, that's me. But yeah, no, I would like to see him use his size to his advantage. You know, that's the biggest thing that I liked about Corliss, is that he had a lot of size for a small forward. And what he did was he bullied guys around, and he made sure that he used his size to his advantage. And then once he made a statement that he was going to bully them around, and they needed to put a bigger guy in him, he would stretch them out. He would stretch them out 18 feet and shoot the mid range. You know, so that's kind of like the concept I want to see from Marcus Morris. Is I want to see him being used as a small forward, but being used as a small forward that can push his weight around. And then, you know, once they've realized that they can't really use a typical small forward on him, they got to use a bigger body, then spread the floor on guys and take them out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
You know? That's just kind of the concept I was going with.
Yeah. I think it's a good goal, but I look at Marcus. He just never played that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the part. Is like Corliss Williams. I mean, I watched him when he was in college. I mean, he didn't come up with the name Big Nasty for nothing. Like really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a big.
He reminds me. You know, the closest player who really reminds me of him. Who reminds me of him? And he's not a Piston. It's like, well, I guess you could say Zach Randolph. But in college, I remember I didn't really watch Zach Randolph in college, but I did watch Jared Sullinger. And then the way Jared Sullinger is like shorter. I know Corliss is shorter than Jared Sullinger, but just the way they kind of like big guys, and they know how to just like move their bodies in the post to get buckets, and they don't have crazy elevation, but they always score over big men. They played that way. But then you bring a guy like Marcus Morris, who I did watch in college. I didn't watch all the games. He played a lot on the perimeter, so he was really rarely in the post. So when you decide you want to be that kind of player, it's like some players are bred to just be really good post players, and I just don't think he hasn't shown to be one. You know, just like we talk about Drummond, and I've said this like a million times, like this is a million one. If you watch Drummond highlights, like when he was in the AAU, Drummond was bringing the ball up the floor like he was a shooting guard. Like he was this 6'9", 6'10" guy dribbling up the court, doing spin moves, crossovers, And that's all he learned how to play basketball. He learned how to play basketball like a small player. Then he got to NBA, and he gets to college and he gets to NBA, and they're like, okay, we don't want you doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. You need to be in the post. He's actually just learning. Like, understand Van Gundy. He's just learning how to be a post player. So some guys, they've been doing this since they was like high school. And then some guys, they just learning. So I think Marcus Morris is a guy who's, you know, from what I remember, he sprouted up like in college, like in little college. He was like small forward in college, like kind of that, you know, little shoot 'em up threes in high school. And then he went to college. He grew a little bit more and got bigger. Then everybody's like, oh, he could play small forward power because he's 6'9", 6'8". He's really just a small forward. Like his heart, he's a small forward.
Yeah.
So we want to make a stretch forward because of his size. But in his heart, he's a small forward.
Right.
You know, so, and it's always going to be hard, you know, trying to convert people mentally. Like, I think that's the Stan Van Gundy struggle is with Drummer right now. He's trying to convert him mentally. So,
you guys,
it takes time. It takes time, you know. So.
I agree. I 100% agree with you because I'm about to tie it in with another guy that we try to commit. And I don't know if you know who I'm going to be referring to, and we were just talking about him earlier, but we try to commit a shooting guard to a power forward. And that didn't go so well. That did not go so well.
Right.
Yeah. No, we try to commit a shooting guard to a power forward, and he was a shooting guard, but he had a power forward height. And it just doesn't work, you know. Like I agree, but mentally, you know, guys are just gonna be who they are. You know, they like just because they have the size doesn't mean that they're that kind of player. And the player that I'm talking about is Austin Day. You know.
Yeah, Austin Day. Yeah, Austin Day. And I said that back then. I said Austin Day is really who's 6'11". And, like, closest example I gave, and I'm not saying he's as talented, but, like, Tony Kukoc, they brought him off the bench. Like, they could have started Tony Kukoc at power forward if they wanted to, but Phil Jackson knew that he was not a power forward per se. And so, you know, they brought him off the bench to come behind, you know, guys like Pippen and Jordan, or, you know, to be that secondary, you know, that scorer off the bench. But and I'm not saying Austin Day was that kind of talent, but it's like you keep on trying to take guys, you draft these guys, you do one thing in college. This has been the Pistons' problem. You draft these guys to do one thing in college, then they get to the NBA, and then we want them to do something based off their size. Based off of what we want them to be. And it's a killer for a team. It's going to kill a team every time.
Right. No. And you know what the reverse side of that is that, and it works, and it's worked well in the past, is having an undersized power forward, playing power forward, you know, like Dennis Rodman or Charles Barkley or Jason Maxiell. Like, all these guys are small forward height, you know what I mean? But they worked really, really well as a power forward, you know? They're just mentally big men and small men bodies, you know? Well, they're obviously all of them are big men, but, like, in the NBA standard, you know, they're really big men. You know what I mean? Like, mentally, they're big men in their head. You know what I mean? They're guys that can play big position. Ben Wallace, you know, like, these guys are playing bigger than their height. You know, and like, perfect example would be Ben Wallace. You know, like I was watching one of his documentaries, and there was a lot of confusion during draft if he was going to be a small forward or power, not a center, a small forward or a power forward. Like, they couldn't figure out what he was going to be in the NBA. What kind of position would this guy play? Would he play like everybody felt like he should be a small forward because he's small forward height, small forward size, and it's one of the reasons why he went undrafted. It's because there was just no position for him. And, you know, as he started developing his talents and he started getting in the NBA, started getting on teams, people started realizing this guy's actually a center. Out of all things, this guy's actually a center. You know, he's not a small forward. So, yeah, I guess, I agree. It's a mental thing. Guys are just not mentally right to play certain positions, no matter what the size is.
And I'll go right back to it. And I keep saying about Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight is like the model example for why you can't keep doing that to players. Brandon Knight is a shooting guard. He's a combo guy who's a score first mentality, who impact games as a score first player. He did it his whole career. He did it in high school. He did it at Kentucky. And you get to the NBA like, okay, we need to make you a point guard. And I keep bringing this point up because I believe you can't do that with players. Now, a guy like Drummond, you don't want a 6'10", 6'11", 250-pound, 260-pound, 270-pound guy dribbling from the top of the key.
Right.
You don't want him doing that. But you don't want to take that all away from him either. You want to develop, give him that, can he translate any of that? And then, but you want to kind of focus him in. But he was never trained to be a point guard, a center, like actually, he was never trained. But these other guys in skill positions, you can't keep doing that. It kills their confidence. It kills their confidence. It kills team. It kills the point of drafting these guys so high just to want to convert them. Not every guy can convert. Like Manu Ginobili, when you draft, they didn't just say, okay, Manu, we just going to make you stand on the perimeter and shoot threes because you can shoot threes. They're like, they've used his full capability. Manu played, he's 6'6", 6'5", and he played point guard over in Spain. So did he come here and run the point guard, but did you put the ball in his hand? Yeah, you put the ball in his hand and you let him go. And that goes back to what we were saying about Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson is very versatile. He's shown that he can play the 1 through the 4. He can't just sit here and be isolated and say, Stanley's going to be a small forward. He's going to spot you up in the corner as you shoot threes. No, you put the ball in his hand and you let him go, and then you try to tighten him, you put him under a good kind of like a mold to become the ultimate player you want him to be. But you got to give him a lot of freedom, because that's where he's going to be able to impact games, is his confidence that he can do what he want to do. And I even say the same thing in KCP. You can't draft a guy who's been a high-value shooter his whole career, and then you get him to the NBA and stuff like, well, we're only going to give you 10 attempts, and we're not going to put the ball when you just spot up. And he hasn't done that in forever. Like, he was the superstar probably in basketball. I think I looked it up, KCP was like a top 10, top 15 recruit out of high school. So this guy has been a superstar his whole life, had the ball in his hand his whole life. He just didn't come on time. That's what drew you to him, that he could light it up, and then you get him in the NBA, you want to spot him up in corners. It's just, it's backwards, So I think the Pistons do that a lot. And I'm hoping that I hope it changes with Stan Van Gundy not. And I would say this, in Stan Van Gundy's defense, that's maybe why he continues to put the ball in Spencer Dinwiddie's hand, because this is what Spencer Dinwiddie did his whole career. He's always been a ball-handling guy. So I think in retrospect, we keep on saying, take him off. I don't have to take him off the ball. Maybe Stan's like, we drafted him because we saw ball-handling abilities and his ability to do so much with the ball, but maybe Spencer Dinwiddie is just not. His game doesn't translate to the NBA. And not everybody's draft is going to translate to the NBA. That's just a fact. So I will applaud Stan. I will applaud Stan for not making Spencer something that he's not. But maybe when you start to see that a person can do something, you have to. If you still value them, you have to find a way to use them effectively.
I got it, guys. I got to get going. What I was gonna
All
say.
right, man.
What I was gonna say is that I definitely agree with you about Drummond. I definitely could see the guard in him, because I remember when he came in as a rookie, he was making some fucking like spectacular plays, man. Out on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there's a few times he stripped Dwayne Wade clean, and
that was amazing.
Like several times. I mean, like big man, and he runs the floor clean with the ball in his hand, like when he gets away on those breakaway dunks. So yeah, I definitely see the guard. I haven't seen him play guard in the AAU like you said you have, but if he had, and you said he did, I definitely take your word for it.
YouTube it. Just when you get a chance, look it up.
Yeah, I'll definitely
just put Drummond AAU.
Yeah.
And watch what he's doing. He's like running. I mean, he's not playing point guard, but he's like getting rebounds and he's going coast to coast, spinning behind his back, off nose dudes, and it was like
I believe
So
it,
I
man.
just think that when guys, he unless he gets AAU, but AAU is not garbage. I mean, these are still like the best. These are the high school. These are the guys in high school that every college in AAU being recruited by colleges. Like
Right.
these are not like just sorry kids. These are like the guys who will go in college with you next year.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, check it out.
I would definitely do that. But yeah, guys, I gotta get going. It was good talking to all you guys. I don't know if you guys are gonna continue on, but I gotta get going.
Now I gotta get going too. Yeah. Let's do the next one after the first season opener.
So against the Hawks, after the Hawks, the night after the Hawks.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it after the Hawks. As a matter of fact, let's do it after the game.
After the game.
Yeah, after the game. Or you can't do it. Let's do it the next day.
Yeah. Let's try to do it the next day. Try to do it the next day.
Yeah, let's do it the next day. How about you guys gonna be at the game? But yeah, let's do it the next day.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care. It's good
talk
talking to you guys.
Great night.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.